British Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Boris Johnson, seemingly has one royal fan in his side in these very difficult and troubled times. But who is it, and why are they such a fan? Hi, good morning, Neil Sean here in the very heart of London. Thanks so much for joining me today. Hope you're all keeping well, fine and dandy. As I often say, I know, but I truly mean that. When we get up every morning or go to bed every night, you always think, oh, I don't feel so bad today. Have you noticed? You wake up first thing, you think, what happened there? Aches and pains you never had before. Headaches, all that sort of stuff. And all you've done is gone for a rest. As ever, is it just me? Let me know how you're all keeping in the comments below. It's always lovely to know. And as I say, thank you so much for your comments. Keep them clean. And let's keep this a respectable and refreshed community. Back as ever, though, to Boris. Now, let me explain what's gone on recently. Over at number 10, we've been engulfed with Partygate. This is all to do with those secret pictures taken by, allegedly, some people think, the former communications officer, Dominic Cummings. Now, Dominic Cummings, of course, worked very closely with Mr. Johnson for a number of years, and then they seemingly fell out. He got asked to leave, and then, of course, he's been leaking things, allegedly, time and time again. And these recent pictures really are sort of, how shall we say, getting really grindy for the public, because we have bigger issues over here. Energy prices, all of that sort of stuff, the cost of living, you know. What they've done, and, you know, let's be honest about this, is wrong, but the Prime Minister has apologised for himself and his underlings who have flouted those particular rules that we're also closely living to. But as ever, you know, we want people to move on. We're very sorry about those that it affected, but there are bigger things. But seemingly the media do not want to move on from this. But it's interesting because this particular story came to me directly from a very good palace source. It does appear that Boris Johnson has in fact a very, very good close relationship with our gracious Majesty the Queen. So much so, he enjoyed his very first audience with Her Majesty this week out at Windsor. Now, the audience, let me explain in case you don't know, is where the current British Prime Minister sits down with our gracious Majesty the Queen and discusses the most important topics that government are doing. It can be anything from reshuffles to, you know, new legislation, all that sort of stuff, whatever they think they need to discuss. And of course, those all important documents which the Queen receives in that now famous red box. But what's emerged is that Boris and the Queen are in fact very good friends. Now, obviously, you know, Her Majesty the Queen has met and seen quite a few prime ministers in her long 70-year reign. There is no person wiser in how to deal with governments. It's said that she didn't get on with Margaret Thatcher, our very first British Prime Minister. Not so, according to good sources. They didn't necessarily see eye to eye on lots of things, but on normal things, they actually agreed on many things. She also got on well with the very Labour Prime Minister, Harold Wilson. She liked the fact that he was jovial, fun, and more importantly, a blunt northerner. Now, apparently, according to a very good source within Windsor, the reason why Her Majesty the Queen likes Boris Johnson so much is because, and he's played this very cleverly, I believe, is that he is a huge fan of the Queen's very first British Prime Minister that she dealt with as her Queen, as the Queen, should I say, and that was, of course, the late and wonderful Winston Churchill. Now, we do know that Boris is a big fan of Churchill because he wrote a book called The Churchill Factor. Great read, by the way, if you want an opportunity to look into the insight on how Churchill did run government in that particular era. When you think about it, no social media. A lot easier for these people, as you can imagine. But they bond over that, and the fact that Boris does like to ask our gracious Majesty the Queen all of the help that he can get. And really, you know, well, what would Churchill have done? And this is the beauty of having a monarch that has been around so long. As I say, she's met people. She knows exactly how they work. There was a story recently, apparently, how she didn't particularly get on with Jackie Kennedy. Well, that's been rebuffed by royal circles. Apparently, they did get on. But of course, whenever you put two women together, very two glamorous women at the peak of their beauties, then what do you get? You know, the media hyping it up. So that story allegedly wasn't true either. But for Boris and the Queen, do they get on? Well, we've got Churchill to thank for that. And for now, I'm sure Boris is very glad to find at least that there's somebody on his side, or at least listening to him on a weekly basis. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.